Can Prashant Kishor be the third force in Bihar? Can he actually win Bihar in 2025 as he has claimed while finally launching his new political party? I'm Barkha Dutt, you're with the Mojo story. On the program today, we look at the birth of Jan Suraaj, a party that was formally unveiled on the 2nd of October because Mahatma Gandhi is somebody that Prashant Kishor has often referred to as his political idol. But disruptive as the idea is, can the strategist turned Neta actually make inroads in a state from where he hails, but a state which has been dominated by one of two formations, the BJP and Nitish Kumar on the one side, and Rahul Gandhi and Tejasvi Yadav on the other? The party had an interesting choice for its first working president, an IIT'ian, a veteran diplomat, and also a Dalit leader. Yet, Jan Suraaj says it will seek to move beyond the caste stranglehold of Bihar politics. And in one of his first announcements, Prashant Kishor proposed ending prohibition in the state so that revenue that is accrued, if he's able to do that, is actually used towards educational facilities. There's a lot to talk about, and our guest today is Pawan Varma, an author, diplomat, a former MP, and there you can see him at the formal launch of Jan Suraaj, a compatriot, a fellow traveler of Prashant Kishor for a while now. Pawan, thank you so much. Quite a day. Congratulations on the birth of a new political outfit. What does it actually symbolize? Why should anybody take Jan Suraaj seriously? What makes Jan Suraaj, Prashant Kishor, you, and what we saw take place in Bihar yesterday something that should be taken seriously?
I think, Barkha, the reasons have been very clear for some time now. Jan Suraaj is carrying a new message for the voters of Bihar, for the people of Bihar. That message, simply put, is for transformational politics and for change in Bihar. Now, why is that message over a course of a 2-year arduous Padyatra, where Prashant lived in a tent in villages for almost 2 years continuously through the blistering heat of summer, the torrential monsoons, and of course the freezing winter? The reason is very simple. Bihar is looking for change. 30 years ago, where Bihar was, 30 years after Nitish, Lalu, and the permutations and ever-changing combinations between them and the BJP, Bihar is exactly where it was today as well, the poorest and the most backward state. The state is looking for a credible alternative whose promise for change is convincing, which is based on understanding the priorities of the people, understanding the pulse of the people, and with the avowed goal of implementing that change within a certain time frame. So this message, which was difficult to begin when Prashant began his Padyatra from Champaran on 2nd October 2 years ago, it was a difficult message in a state which has been dominated by caste and by religion. And the voters were cannon fodder that were used by political parties to come to power on this basis and then forget what they had to do for the people, because that is apparent. Bihar's condition is apparent. Prashant's message that you have to transcend both caste and religion and vote for yourself. बिहार में तैयारी है, अपनी बच्चों की बारी है. Think of your children. Think of the quality of your lives. Think of what can change for you. And then cast your precious vote. And it took time and repetition and endurance uh, of another level to see that this message percolates through and actually changes mindsets,
Okay,
which is what has happened.
now whether it was Champaran, from where the yatra of Prashant Kishor begins, or 2nd October as the date for the unveiling of Jan Suraaj, the Mahatma Gandhi iconography has been a kind of constant in Prashant's transition into direct politics. But ironically, one of the first announcements he made was a proposal to end prohibition in the state so that revenue could be used for educational purposes. Prohibition, whether in states like Bihar or Gujarat, has often been done using Gandhi's name. So I found that a kind of interesting juxtaposition that Gandhi ji has been the political backdrop, but PK talks about ending prohibition. And I want to just play out that clip and come right back to you so you can explain what seems like a contradiction to us. Take a look.
अगर बिहार में विश्व स्तरीय विश्व विदेश का सबसे अच्छा शिक्षा व्यवस्था बनाना है तो 5 लाख करोड़ रुपया चाहिए। 5 लाख करोड़ रुपया चाहिए अगले 10 वर्ष में, तो देश का सबसे अच्छा शिक्षा व्यवस्था बिहार में बना दिया जाएगा। और ये 5 लाख करोड़ रुपया आएगा कैसे? ताली मत बजाइए, समझिए। जो शराबबंदी हटाएंगे तो ये तय किया कि शराब से आने वाला टैक्स का पैसा वो बजट में नहीं जाएगा, नेताजी के सुरक्षा के लिए नहीं खर्चा होगा, सड़क बिजली पानी के लिए नहीं होगा। जितना शराबबंदी के टैक्स का पैसा होगा अगले 20 वर्ष बिहार में सिर्फ और सिर्फ नई शिक्षा व्यवस्था बनाने के लिए खर्च किया जाएगा।
So explain this, Pawan Varma. Gandhi as the political backdrop, the political context, the political inspiration, but a policy that is often applied to some states in India, not all, in the name of Gandhian principles. When Nitish Kumar rolled out prohibition, it was said to be welcomed by female voters who were dealing with domestic violence at the hands of alcoholic, abusive husbands. Now, personally, I'm no fan of prohibition, but I'm interested in the politics of this and the seeming contradiction and paradox of Prashant Kishor saying, we will end prohibition. So explain
I'm a
that.
little surprised that from the entire many splendored legacy of Mahatma Gandhi, parts of which you wish to emulate, the only one you picked up is prohibition. First of all,
I wouldn't have
Mahatma,
picked it up had PK not made a comment on it. I would never have picked it up. I'm
first
not a
of
fan
all,
of prohibition at all as a policy.
no, first of all, Mahatma Gandhi believed that sharab or sharab bandi or liquor addiction is bad. He did not propose institutional measures to impose a reform that is unimplementable. That is why it is in the directive principles of state policy. It is a goal to be pursued where you gradually reduce alcoholism. But in Bihar, actually, there is no prohibition. Liquor is freely available. It has porous borders with 4 other states and 1 international boundary. An entire generation has been wasted in smuggling in liquor, making a profit, and thereby earning a living instead of acquiring the ability to earn on their own skills. So it was not working. It's available freely. On the other hand, the legitimate revenue that can be collected from the sale of alcohol was being lost. So what Prashant has said is that we will put an end to this charade, this hypocrisy, this self-deniability that liquor is now no longer available in Bihar when it's available in plenty, in a
That's a fair point.
finely honed, in a finely honed system of delivery and reach. So it has to be abolished. But that revenue is important for a revenue deficit state like Bihar. That revenue, he has said, will be used exclusively to build one of the finest educational infrastructure, specially focused towards the
Yeah.
education of those from up to the age of 15, so that their foundations are strong. Today we have schools in Bihar where if there is a teacher, there is no building. If there is a building, there is no teacher. And children are going to school only to get the possibility of a midday meal, acquiring no knowledge or skills. He needs to change that, and for which you
Fair
need.
enough. Fair enough. I actually take your point that wherever there is prohibition, there is illicit liquor and money just flows beneath the surface. And as I said, I'm not a fan of prohibition, but I did find it interesting that it was one of his first policy prescriptions, so to speak, or proposed policy prescriptions. Now, uh, you know, the Jan Suraaj movement has vowed to go beyond traditional caste politics. But one must focus for a moment on the choice of the working president. A diplomat, an IIT'ian, but as Prashant Kishor himself said, also a Dalit. And I want to play out that clip and talk about this. What does this choice of working president symbolize? Take a look.
दल के कार्यवाहक अध्यक्ष के तौर पर मनोज भारती जी जो अनुसूचित समाज के हैं, लेकिन ये प्रशांत किशोर से ज्यादा काबिल आदमी है। प्रशांत किशोर आईआईटी नहीं गए हैं, ये आईआईटी गए हैं। प्रशांत किशोर आईएफएस नहीं हैं, ये सज्जन आईएफएस रहे हैं। 4 देशों में भारत के राजदूत रहे हैं, बिहार का गौरव बढ़ाया है। बेलारूस में, यूक्रेन में, इंडोनेशिया में, तिमोर लास्ते में, 4 देशों में ये भारत के राजदूत रहे हैं। भारतीय समाज के फिलॉसफी पर एक बहुत अच्छी किताब भी लिखी है। लोग हमको कह रहा था कहां से खोजिएगा बढ़िया आदमी, कोई है यहाँ अच्छा? सही चुने हैं कि नहीं चुने हैं? नहीं, पूरा हाथ उठाकर बताइए सही चुने हैं कि नहीं चुने हैं? बोलिए सही है, समर्थन है कि नहीं है? कल ये मत कहिएगा कि प्रशांत किशोर चुन के बैठा दिए। फिर से हाथ उठाकर बताइए, अनुमोदन कीजिए, ठीक है कि नहीं है? ये इसलिए नहीं है कि ये दलित समाज के हैं, ये काबिल हैं जो दलित समाज के भी हैं। यही जन सुराज का रास्ता है।
Let's pick up that last point first. ये इसलिए नहीं है क्योंकि ये दलित है, ये काबिल है और ये दलित भी है. Prashant Kishor, they're arguing that the caste is secondary, the ability is first. Cynics would say this is social engineering, just like every other political party. Prashant Kishor comes from a so-called, what we call forward caste. The working president is a Dalit. You're trying to woo 2 caste constituencies, 2 social bases. I want you to talk about the significance of Manoj Bharati. One, seen through that lens. But 2, some might also argue, are there 2 power centers? Who really wields the power? It's Prashant Kishor's party, but Manoj Bharati is the working president. Is this a bit like a kind of Sonia Gandhi, Manmohan Singh arrangement? What do you say?
Let me answer your many questions. First
Yes.
of all, it has been agreed within the party when the massive meeting of officials took place preparatory to 2nd October's launch, that the presidency will be a rotational, where there will be representation given to the 5 broad categories that constitute the society. The general category, the OBCs, the EBCs, the Dalits, and the Muslims. not necessarily in any order. It was further agreed by vote that each of the presidents so selected would have a tenure of 1 year. The option was of 2 years. The voting was in favor of 1 year. And thirdly, it was agreed that the first choice would be given to a Dalit. But now herein lies the catch. It is not a choice merely dictated by the fact that someone is a Dalit or an OBC or an EBC. The assumption is fairness of representation along with a complete denial of the oft-held view that talent is largely in a double cranium in one particular caste and hardly available in another. We don't believe that. We believe there are people of great talent who exist in every social category. And the idea is the idea is to pick out, select, zero in on that talent. That is the first priority, and the fact that that person also represents a community allows the party to have a myriad form of representation of different communities. That is the goal. In any case, Mr. Manoj Bharati, a younger colleague of mine, is a very suitable candidate coming from very humble backgrounds in the Dalit Samaj. He has proved his mettle. He's not there only because he can, for instance, dominate a particular constituency. That may be an asset, but he's there on the basis of his competence given the circumstances from which he rose. Okay. And so that's what the point Prashant was trying to make. He has been chosen for his talents and also the fact that in accordance with the party's decision, he is a Dalit.
Let's come to sort of the actual political questions now. Jan Suraaj, Prashant Kishor has said that the party will be contesting all seats in the next assembly elections. You'll also be dipping your toes in when the bypolls and the bypolls are before the assembly elections. Now, my first question to you is, it's very difficult to compare past elections to present numbers in Bihar because alliances have changed so often. Nitish Kumar has changed sides more times than anyone can count. But does Jan Suraaj see Nitish Kumar and the BJP as your main political opponent, or do you see Rahul Gandhi and RJD as your main political opponent?
We never underestimate political opponents. But I think Prashant's assessment is that this time, none of them will really be able to cut into the landslide support that the Jan Suraaj is already showing signs of commanding.
And what is your basis to say that? What is your basis to claim a landslide support?
I'll tell you. It is because he has publicly said that he will not enter into an alliance with any party and that he expects Jan Suraaj to win an absolute majority on its own. And further said that if he gets 130 or 140 seats, while the halfway mark is 122, he would be very disappointed. Now, that is based on an assessment, including surveys and personal feedback, that he has no doubt received over 2 years. The sheer strength of the organization, the response to his message, that there is overwhelming support for a new kind of politics as against the same ghisi-piti politics that these parties have been offering for 30 years without benefiting Bihar at all.
But do you believe that the Jan Suraaj can transcend caste?
I do believe that because every state in this country has caste factors. But perhaps no other state has suffered so much for so long because of the manipulation of the voters because of caste. And backward states are particularly susceptible. Prashant's message, which seemed difficult when he began in a caste-dominated state, from the beginning was, you are cannon fodder being used on the basis of caste or religion to bring the same set of people to power. It's time you used your precious vote for yourself, for your children, for qualitative change in your lives. And therefore, please do not fall prey to the usual cynical manipulation and stratagem of political parties and vote for change, vote for
But it's
yourself,
very, but
vote
it's
for the future of your children. Now, you will ask me, this message is good, but how do we know the response? The response, Barkha, if you go to the ground, is obvious.
yeah.
People are responding to that message because the people want change.
My
People
question was
want
something
an
else.
alternative.
My question is going to be something else. And the question is, you mentioned no alliance with anybody. We will do this on our own. Do you see politically yourself, when I say yourself, I mean not you, the individual, but Jan Suraj, yourselves to be equidistant from the BJP led alliance and the Congress led opposition? And I'm talking right now in an ideological way. Are you
But
equally distant from either?
certainly, because we have an ideology of our own, a party of our own, a agenda of our own, which we hope to implement almost immediately if we come to power. And that agenda will not wait 24 hours. So
Hmm.
we have a distinct identity of our own. So I don't see any reason for us to be ideologically allied with one or the other. We are talking a different language in there. We are talking of a different kind of promise for them, which is radically different from that of other political parties.
If you were to define this ideology in one accessible line, how would you define it?
Jan Suraaj. Simply put, that's the title of the party. Jan essentially means the common voter, the common person. That person will be the focus of government. वो प्रशासन और शासन के केंद्र में हो, बिंदु होगा. And if governance is based on his or her needs, we are promising finally for Bihar good governance, transformative governance. That is the message of Jan Suraaj. That is why the name was chosen.
Now, I have
Suraaj,
to,
good
yeah,
governance.
okay. You said that caste has been manipulated in perhaps in all elections, but nowhere as much or as intensely as in Bihar. Now,
I
this
was
is a
saying as
very
a general statement.
underst- I understand. Rahul Gandhi's led opposition has centered its kind of politics, this phase of its politics, on social justice, on caste census, on social justice to take on Hindutva. I'll come to what Prashant Kishor has said on Rahul Gandhi in a moment, but do you find it kind of confusing that here you are talking about let's transcend caste, and there is Rahul Gandhi talking about inclusiveness basis caste, even in beauty pageants, for instance?
You see, one is a formula, one
Yes.
is a profoundly powerful thought. A caste census has been done in the past by Nitish Kumar. What has changed? The Congress did a caste census in 2011, never released the figures. A caste census cannot be used as a substitute for good governance. Good governance for people who have been in politics for so long, including politicians in Bihar, should know what the priorities are of different segments of society. What needs to change? So, of course, we need more information on all castes and of different segments. But that is not the prime focus. The prime focus is actual change.
Let's come finally to where you see Jan Suraaj's interface with national politics. Asked recently to comment on Rahul Gandhi in a PTI interview, Prashant Kishor said he may have now been accepted as a leader capable of leading his party, but the country has not yet accepted him as a leader. He still has a long way to go. Now, we all know that at one point, Prashant Kishor was in talks to join the Congress, to transform, he thought, the way they approached politics. Congress supporters today call him a kind of soft on BJP person. He's sometimes been accused of being, quote unquote, the B team of Modi, still considered close to Modi. How do you see Prashant Kishor and Jan Suraaj interfacing with what have become, in a way, the two poles of national politics today, Rahul Gandhi and Prime Minister Modi?
I think that this question of Plan B, Plan A always comes up when a new force is emerging, especially if that force is credible, verifiable, and manifest. Then established parties seek to give it a label. And this is not new. So Jan Suraaj, I don't believe in any way is either offended or takes cognizance of such a claim. Prashant Kishor's record shows over the last 10 years in his earlier avatar as a strategist that he has worked against the BJP. And now too, his attack is as much on Nitish and Lalu and the BJP. In fact, in yesterday's speech, you may have noticed he made the comparison very often that this is what has happened in Gujarat and this is what has not happened in Bihar. So it's not as if we are accessories of any party working to cut the votes of any other.
But if you had to pick a side,
No, obviously we are against communal politics. We are against family dynasties. And we are very focused on a very key word of the Suraj, good governance. And so I don't believe that right now, whether it's the BJP or it's the opposition spectrum, the space has been filled up by two unalterable people, Prime Minister Modi or Rahul Gandhi. We will, right now, Prashant has said his focus is single-mindedly Bihar. Then if he sees, or the party sees, that the experiment, a near impossible, audacious experiment that was carried out in Bihar, has a resonance beyond Bihar for the same kind of bottom upwards foundational change, we will certainly go beyond Bihar. We have never said we are a regional party.
that's interesting. So this is not a Jan Suraaj is not a Bihar party. You're only starting.
Not called Jan Suraaj Bihar.
So you are saying you are not confined to Bihar. You are only beginning.
We are saying our immediate focus without the slightest ambivalence is Bihar, change in Bihar, continuous attention to Bihar until, as Prashant has said, Bihar becomes one of the 10 most progressive states in the country.
Finally, would you then call your...
However,
Yeah.
the model that has been the model that has been used in Bihar, whereas there were cynics all around us, Barkha, you are aware when he began his Padya, who said the three entrenched parties in a caste-dominated state, you're coming up on your own with a new message. But if that model, as we expected, works in Bihar for good governance based on another kind of politics, then obviously there are demands from elsewhere as well.
Okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We have the by-polls to observe, the assembly elections to observe. Before we let you go, would you use a third force type nomenclature for yourself? Because you've said that you see yourselves as distinct. You know, in politics 20 years ago, there used to be a phrase third front. Is Jan Suraaj a third front of Bihar?
In politics today in India, there is no first front, there is no second front, there is no third front. There is only the scope for better and good politics.
Well, we leave it there. One thing I'll say, it's always exciting, even as a journalist, to have a new political party to cover. It adds to the questions to ask. New players are always interesting. And so good luck and congratulations to you, to Prashant and to Jan Suraaj. Thanks, Pawan.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Moj's Story and support independent, robust journalism.